Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Hey guys, real quick, before we jump into the episode, I need you to do the 3 S's for me. What is that? First of all, I need you to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss an episode of our podcast. Number 2, I need you to share it with your family and friends. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone else. Lastly, I need you to say something. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see from us, what you like, what you don't like. We are open to your suggestions. We want to know everything that you want to let us know about the podcast. All right. Now, get back to the episode. All right. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is healed, whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share to our podcast on all of our social media platforms. Also, make sure you guys are checking us out on our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Again, that's the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network on YouTube. Well, you will find the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, which you are currently listening to. But you will also find our sister podcast, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Both of those podcasts and some others can be found on our YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Make sure you guys go and check us out there. Also, our product of the week. As you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase. And our product of the week is our Purpose Journal and our Purpose Planner, because I believe that you are to journal to keep track of where you've been and where you are, as well as plan for your future. So you can get your copy of our Purpose Journal and our Purpose Planner on Amazon. The links are in the descriptions, as well as some other great information that are in our descriptions. Make sure you go and check that out and check out that information. But today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Brother Andre. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me on, brother. I appreciate it.
No problem. First of all, let me say thank you for being here, because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. And so we're going to jump right into this thing. Andre, do me a favor. Actually, before we go there, because one thing that I know is that you are a girl dad like myself. And so whenever I have girl dads on, I start off by asking them 2 questions. So my first question is, what does it mean for you to be a girl dad? And then secondly, what is something that your daughter or daughters have taught you?
So, as a father of daughters, right? It means that I had to get to a certain level of responsibility, because I know what it is to grow up and be a boy, but I had no idea what it was. Though I have sisters, but I didn't have a personal female experience. So I had to make sure I was in the best position possible so that I could deal with them. And what did they teach me? My daughters taught me that telling the truth is the best thing that you could ever do when you're raising children, as well as they taught me humility, because I had to learn that I couldn't deal with them like I deal with dudes, right? Like I deal with guys. And they taught me to kind of calm down, to be humble, right? And to really and listen to them and
Yeah.
listen. They taught me to listen and be humble. And we had, raising my daughters, we had a ball because I'm not perfect like you. But but we had a wonderful, wonderful time. And the one thing that I was with them was absolutely honest, sometimes brutally honest with my daughters. But yeah, and now they're adults. I have a 30-year-old and a 26-year-old, and they're some of my favorite people on the planet. So
Good, great. All
mhm.
right, and we look forward to having you on the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, where we'll really be able to dive into that daddy daughter relationship
I'm looking forward
as we
to it.
do on that podcast. So, to my listeners, when you guys finish listening to this episode, make sure you guys go over to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, and by then, Andre's episode should be up over there too. So we're going to record that one. So Andre, we're gonna jump right into this thing. Do me a favor,
Okay.
tell myself and our listeners a little bit about yourself, who you
hmm
are, and what it is
hmm
that you do.
Okay. So I'm a regular dude from the west side of Detroit. I went to public school, caught the public bus. And when I went to college, I was going to be a doctor. That was my whole thing, to be a doctor like Heathcliff Huxtable. And because I wanted me a Claire Huxtable, and found me a Claire Huxtable, but I wasn't actually able to make it to become Heathcliff. And my wife was in law school, and because she was in law school and had a lot of opportunities by being an attorney, I saw it. Then I said, well, let me see, what this law school thing, was about, because I was in a point in my career where I had to make a change, right? It was no upward mobility at my job, and I needed to make a change. So I took a practice LSAT examination. I worked third shift and took it at about 3:30 in the morning. I did okay. I said, maybe I'm half asleep. Maybe I didn't do okay. Let me take another one. I took another one and I did better. And so that started my legal journey. I've been involved working with entrepreneurs and intellectual property, specifically trademark and patents. And my wife trained me as an attorney. Also got into community economic development and working with business owners after that, working in the nonprofit industry. And so I did that for a long time, filed trademarks, filed patents, formed nonprofits, for-profit businesses. But right after law school, I got a article from my uncle about a teen father that he got a child support order, and he decided that his best course of action was to take his gun and shoot the mothers of his children, right? And I said, wow, man, I was a young father. I became a father at the age of 21. Well, she was conceived at 21, 22 by the time she was born. But I understood the frustration because I was young and confused, unstable, didn't know what to do. But I said, man, if he just had a resource, somebody to talk to. I had my uncles, I had my friends.
Mhm.
Evidently, he didn't have that kind of resource. And then my uncle and I decided to form a nonprofit organization to help teen fathers and young fathers become responsible men, to stabilize their life, and so they can be the best father they can be for their children. And I founded newyoungfathers.com. So
Yeah.
right now I'm the executive director of newyoungfathers.com. I also have a for-profit business where I still help entrepreneurs become better entrepreneurs, understand intellectual property, influencers, content creators, podcasters, right? Artists, producers, um, so that they can understand the right and wrong thing to do and protect their intellectual property and protect their brand. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So we're going to focus on this the program that you do with the boys, right? And
Okay.
you kind of I want to kind of go back to the beginning, even of your story, right? Because I
Mhm.
know there's a backstory to
Okay.
everything that we do, which brings us into what we do for a living, and so just before even getting this letter or article from your uncle, talking about this young teen dad. Let's go back to even your experience as a young man. you mentioned you had your uncles, but I didn't hear you say
Mhm,
your father. So
mhm.
did you have your father growing up in a home that's active in your life, and then that's what kind of led you also
So
to see that connection with other young boys?
so my father was my superhero for my whole life, until he left us in 2017. But he also he had a heroin addiction that he struggled with, and right around the time that I became a father, he was struggling with that and he was unavailable to me,
Mhm.
right? So so yes, he was in my life all of my life. I'm the oldest boy of 10 children. So I'm the first son, the first nephew, so I was always around my dad, and he really didn't really show me his addiction until it got out of control, and by that time I was out of the house, right? So I really didn't live with him too much while he was really in his worst state.
Yeah.
But when I became a father, I needed him, but he was unavailable to me. And so my uncles were there, and that's when I went to the mosque so I can get my life together, and those guys helped me get my life together.
All right,
Mhm,
yeah, and I can relate to that somewhat. I am one of nine kids, but I am
mhm,
the oldest son in the nine, and and the reason I asked that because I know there's a connection of how we grow up, especially when we're dealing with kids and teenage fathers and things of that nature that affects us, and it kind of
mhm,
leads us sometimes unknowingly in that direction. And so my part of my story is I grew up in a two-parent household with my mom and dad,
mhm,
and but I recognize that my friends and family, a lot of them didn't have their fathers, and
mhm,
even at a young age I always was like I want to be a mentor, a father figure, because I see how my friends and like I said, some of my extended family, how their life was playing out because they didn't have their fathers in their lives. And so that always played a part with me. And to, even like I said, even at a young age, knowing that I wanted to be a mentor when I got of age, right? And that's one of the things that I do now.
mhm,
But so, having your father and your uncles in your life, and then you fast forward to becoming a father yourself, even at a young age. How was that transition? And I know you were already in college, so
mhm.
somewhat on your, well, I ain't gonna say somewhat, but yeah, somewhat on your own
I
already.
was
You know
I,
what I mean?
I was this was the 90s, man. I was an MC. I mean, I was so into hip hop, brother. I was making demos, I was battling MCs, I was doing shows, I was doing everything but not be, I mean, I'm drinking 64 ounces of Coke 45, smoking blunts, everything that when the baby came, I was so surprised because I didn't plan this, right? It's not something I sat down and said, my last semester of college, I'm going to have
Hmm.
a child with somebody I kind of know, and that wasn't it. So I was shocked. I knew I had to stabilize some things, right? Because it wouldn't be fair to her, plus what went on with my father. So I said, there's some things that I don't want to do. I want to be right for her. I wanted to be the best person I could be for her. And like I said, I ran to the mosque and the brothers helped me out. And it wasn't an instant change, but it was something that I worked at, and it helped put me in the best position to be the best father for her. And then later, my youngest daughter, by my wife. And yeah, being it was a I was unstable, right? I was
Hmm.
shocked. I was confused. I didn't know what the heck to do. And my daddy wasn't available to me at the time. So I had to do what I had to do to get my stuff together, and that's what I did.
Yeah. And so how does that play, in the program and now that
Hmm,
you do with the young boys? Because I know we draw off our experiences, but
hmm,
then we always want to make sure that, we lead them from some of our mistakes, but then we try to keep them from making, some of the mistakes that we made. So now in the position that you are now, tell us a little bit more about the program itself, and
hmm,
number one, I know you mentioned how it started, or should I say
Mm-hmm.
why it started with you and your uncle, but how
Mm-hmm.
was even that transition of building it, and then where's the space that you are now with helping the
Mm-hmm.
boys?
Yep. So, it was something, I'm a witness to that life, right? So I'm a witness role model. Me and my uncle witness role models. We lived the life of being a young father, right? So I reached out to some of my other friends who are also witness role models. They lived the life of a
Mhm.
young father, and they wanted to help after they heard the story. So we started a Momentum Guy. We became a 501c3 in 2010. It was formed in Lansing, Michigan. So I went from Lansing to Detroit, Detroit to Lansing, talking to teen fathers, talking to young fathers, and build momentum. And the organization got some attention. We won an award from an organization called Me, and they took us all around the country so I could talk about what I was doing. Gave us a lot of publicity, and I would and really because I didn't know how to be an executive director. I went to law school. I went to school to work in the lab. I didn't know this stuff. I didn't even know how to form curriculum. Right? I wasn't a teacher, so I got my friends who were teachers. And I was in that organization, Me. They taught us things about how to run a nonprofit. And then later, I got involved outside of my organization in another nonprofit, and I was mentored by two great men, William Young and Leroy Jones. And they had been in the nonprofit space, so they taught me more about how to get money, how to get grants, how to balance the books, the financial part of it. And
Mhm.
so I would say this. I never thought that it was going to be what I ended up doing, right? I'm like, oh, we do this on the weekend or every Tuesday or something like that, right? But you never know how things are going to end up because we started working with these guys and I really fell in love with the work, right? We really fell in love with the work. And so we started programs that dealt with child support, right? Parenting skills, life skills, and later on, we really got into workforce development because the guys would say, "Hey, Andre, you want me to be a good guy? I'm selling dope, or I'm sticking up people. You want me to be a good guy, but you want me to work at McDonald's. That money don't equal this dope money
Mhm.
I'm making. But tech money beats dope money all the time, or skilled trades money. You can have money where you can take care of yourself, and really because those guys are unstable." They need these type of industries. They can go to traditional college after their life is stabilized, but
Yeah.
because their life is unstable, they need money right now so they can have food, clothing, and shelter for the children, right? So we stand in the gap between the surprise and the responsibility, and that's what our programs do. Yep, to help them to get into a place where their life is stable, and then if the father's life is stable, then the child's life can be more stable and then they can flourish and prosper and become productive citizens and help build a stronger community. And that's our goal, to help the young fathers stabilize their life because we are witness role models.
Yeah, yeah, and I like that. I like what you just said about making that connection between the where they are and where they're trying to go to fill in that
Mhm.
that gap piece because you know to make a change in your life, especially when you're doing illegal activities to for financial gain, and then you say, okay, I want to be this upstanding citizen, and now that automatically cuts out your finances. You know what I
Right,
mean? Because
right.
your occupation and your new direction in life don't necessarily line up. But I also like what you said about the building trades, which is something that I press heavily myself.
Mhm.
22 years, 20 some years, bricklayer.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Myself, and so one of the other things that I do is talk about the building trades and go to schools and speak about those things because that was one of the things that I knew I wanted to do early.
Mhm.
As a young man growing up, even as a teenager, knowing that I liked working with my hands, so I knew I was going to be in the construction field some way.
Mhm. Okay.
And I learned about the trades later on, but I try to give kids that information that I didn't have at the time because I was in my late 20s by the time I actually got into it, even though I knew as a teenager that I wanted to be, in the construction field. Um, but I didn't have the information about the unions and apprenticeships and things of that nature. And so I spent a lot of years going the traditional route of going to college and taking construction classes in college, which didn't really help because, like you said, you ain't got no money, you paying money out to
Right.
learn, you know what I mean? And so with the apprenticeships, with being able to join the union, join the apprenticeship, start making money right away, them paying for your schooling and things of that nature, definitely made a difference in my life. And so that's one of the things that I do is talk and um, let other people know, and the young people, especially the young people, know about the opportunities of the building trades that is out there. So I'm definitely glad that you guys um, have noticed that and were able to make that connection with the young guys, because I agree with you wholeheartedly with it just being stable, which definitely being able to support yourself first of all is one of the
Right.
most important things that we find ourselves, which is why we find ourselves in some of the predicaments that we find ourselves in with the young man, because it's like I just want to be able to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I just
Right.
want to be able to buy some clothes, or, you know what I mean? I just want to be able to take care of myself. And when we don't have the resources to know what's available to us, or if we don't have the resources in our environment where just something to get us started, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned about the fast food industry, which is a lot of us get started. I didn't get started in that. I actually got started in the clothing industry. But those, let entry level jobs is cool for somebody on the entry level. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like you
That's
said, you
taking
get
care of
these guys,
themselves, right? It's just
yeah,
them. That's different. Yeah. Right.
yeah, but you get these guys who are already, making money in the
Mm-hmm.
streets. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's like I can't. I'm willing to step back, but I don't want to step that far back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because when I started, I was making 625 when I started.
Oh
When I
wow.
first started working as a teenager, and
Mm-hmm.
we've come a long way from that. But with inflation and everything now, it's definitely still hard to be able to take care of yourself. And so with the building trades and some of the other resources, by letting the young men know that these resources are available to them and that they have other options, we're able to help them, get on a better track. One of the things you mentioned about,
Mm-hmm.
which I know is a big thing with teen fathers and just fathers in general, is the issue of child support,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to work through that and work through the system. Me myself, when I divorced, when me and my daughter's mom divorced, I put myself on child support,
Mm-hmm.
and I went down there because one of the things that I knew was going to play a part with me, that I didn't want anything to interfere the with me being in the life of my daughter. And I know that child support and the visitation is those that balance where it always shows up some kind of way, and
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't want that. So I was like, I'm gonna put myself on child support. I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind taking care of my child because I do that anyway. So I'll put myself on papers. That way I also could put the scheduling on papers as well, in order so we have that locked in, and so we don't have to argue about that. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the things that I did up front. So even when you're working with the young boys, what are some of the advice that you may give them to be able to operate in that space of, definitely taking care of your responsibility first and foremost, and then being able to legally kind of maneuver in that space and even co-parent.
Mm-hmm. So, for me, because I even when I was in law school, I took family law classes on purpose because of my experience going through this. So I really wanted to understand it.
Mhm.
And so we started at the time where everybody was bootlegging DVDs, right? Think back to that
Mhm.
time, right?
Yeah.
So I was gonna write this book. My mother was a librarian, and she was like, Andre, the guys that you want, they don't come in here and read books. They come in here and watch DVDs. So we made a DVD called Child Support Help, where we broke down establishing paternity, visitation, amending child
Mhm.
support, uh, the difference between visitation and child support, um, what the friend of the, it's, in Michigan, it's called the friend of the court, the child support enforcement agency, what they do, what the prosecutor does, and what your role is. and we explain it to them in a way, because the thing in my case, I did not know anything about this personally outside of my parents were divorced. So my mom would be dependent on that check, the child support check, right? And sometimes my dad sent it and sometimes he didn't send it, right? So I knew it from that perspective, because if he sent it, hey, we can get some Lucky Charms or something like that. But if he didn't send it, we eating cornflakes, right? So I understood it in that aspect. But so with them, we try to educate them as soon as possible about the truth, because a lot of
Mhm.
times they get bad advice and you get into arrears. If you start out and you never paying it and you get into arrears and you $35,000 in arrears, that's a different life. It's a
Yeah.
different life, man. So what you said you put yourself on it. One of my mentors at the time told me that was, and he was only 2 or 3 years older than me, but he had already went through the experience. He said, Andre, in your case, as my daughter was coming and I was getting everything together, he said, you might want to go down to the friend of the court and make sure that, because just like you said, you start paying, you don't have to worry about it, you understand it. But I came in contact with let me say this in the most professional way. I came in contact with a worker down there that had somewhat of an attitude that day. And she just gave me all of the attitude and did not explain things. And I'm like, okay, so what? Oh, I got to pay $500 on Friday. I don't have $500. My daughter lives with me. What are you talking about? So she didn't educate me. So I wanted to make sure when we did our programs that these guys did not experience that, and that they would understand what's going on. Like I said, we just had a child support seminar last weekend, and we had an assistant prosecutor there. We had somebody from the friend of the court. We had a child support advocate there. So the guys got all types of education and understanding about the law, the process, and what their role is. As far as co-parenting, that's a part of it too, because yes, you have to you're in this situation and you may not like this person, or you might have been that might have been your girlfriend for 6 months, and that might have been the longest relationship you ever were in, and you don't understand how to deal with it when another guy's around your child, and you want to take it to the streets, and so we teach them about all of that. We try to give them the best advice as witness mentors. We've been through it. So yeah, you can cause a havoc, but you can also go to jail. And if you go to jail, who gonna take care of your child? Like, nobody loves your children the way that you love your children. So it's best that you keep a level head and you deal with the facts, not with emotion, right? Deal with the facts and truth, and you'll have a much better time. And over time, because they're like, well, my daughter 3. I'm like, listen, your daughter's going to continue to grow, and she's going to
Yeah.
be, and over time, it gets easier if you play your role properly, right? If you do what you're supposed to, because you can't control what somebody else does, but you can control what you do. So do what you're supposed to do, right? And eventually it gets a lot easier. And then guess what happens? Your children grow up and their eyes open, and now they can see
Mhm.
what's going on. So the reality of it will come to pass. It just takes a little bit of time. So those are some of the things that we do in our child support seminars and with our co-parenting curriculum and that type of thing. But yeah, that's a big part of it, so that they can stabilize their life, so that they don't have to go to jail for kicking the door in because somebody wasn't there for visitation, or I've been paying my
Mhm.
child support, and I get to keep the baby longer. Understanding what the court order is and what it says and what you can do and what you can't do, that's our goal.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. So what other programs did you guys have in the way, like you mentioned about the seminar for the child support? What
Mhm.
other programs, do you guys have, or events, should I say, do you guys have
Mhm.
in the way of helping these young brothers?
So we're doing really one program. It's an overarching program that includes
Mhm.
financial literacy, right? Parenting skills, life skills, how to deal with the drama, and workforce development. So all of it is one program, but the financial literacy piece is a big piece because with these things, these days, everybody wants to be an influencer or a content creator or something like that. And they think that you can go from zero to $1 million because that's what all the so-called gurus say overnight. But I told you, I've been working with entrepreneurs since 2003. And that is not the reality of it, right? So we
Right.
teach them about financial literacy because first you have to have a job, okay? And
Mhm.
now we put you in, like you said, with the skilled trades, right? Or tech certifications. Those are the two fields that we put because we can push you in those and you can start making money relatively quickly. Once you have that, you got to understand how to budget your money.
Yeah.
Again, this thing right here will have you spending all your money on foolishness, right? But when you have a child, you can't ball out at the bar or at the club or whatever, right?
Right.
Or you can try it, but then you won't have no money the 2 days later. No
Mhm.
diapers, no wipes, no milk, no heat, no gas, right? So we teach them about how to budget their money, and then we give them examples. Like somebody like you, I would love to have somebody like you come in and talk about your skilled trades and your building trades because they need to see it. And when they see it, okay, now this is something that I can do. But
Mhm.
we use hip hop as the equalizer, right? Because I was involved in hip hop and they love hip hop. So once I can use that as an icebreaker, and once we do that, now we can start talking about the different points in your life and how you can improve your life and that kind of thing. They trust me a little bit more, and it makes it better so that they can receive what we're trying to pass on to them.
Yeah, yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I definitely will be interested in being a part, have a part that I can play in it. One of the things I do, like being a girl dad myself, I talk about those that opportunity to be a girl dad and the part that we play in the lives of our daughters, and also the reconnection with you've been out of your child's life for a while for whatever reason, due to incarceration or just,
Hmm.
conflict with the mom or whatever, when you are allowed the opportunity to reconnect with your child, especially a daughter, how do you go about that? And
Hmm.
sometimes we as men and as fathers coming back into our kids' life, a boy or a girl, when we've been away for a while, sometimes that's hard for us to find our way, to rebuild that relationship in a way that it should be. So yeah, those are some of the things that I talked about. I definitely would be interested in being, part of some kind of a haver, whatever part that I
Good.
can play
No,
with you
I'm
guys.
gonna take you up on it because you have a unique experience that will be helpful, and all we're trying to do is help those guys stabilize their life. So the more people that they hear from that went through it, and that's one of the big things that come up. A lot of times they say this: I had no idea that there was organizations like this to help me. Like I never thought I was experience anything like that. And y'all just like us. Yeah, I told you I went to public school, man. I was on the bus. I was standing out there with the triple fat goose on and the box cutter in my hand and all that, man. I'm from the west side of Detroit, so that also allows them to see that this is doable. If he did that and now he's doing this, then wow, what can I do? Right. And so I look forward to us connecting on that for sure.
No doubt, no doubt, man. I definitely appreciate. Oh, I want to mention before we get out of here.
Hmm.
You also have some books that you authored. What are
Hmm.
some of the books that you authored and the subject matter of it, and where can we
Hmm.
find that?
Okay, so I told you I'm an attorney by training, but I'm a servant by nature. So
Yeah.
my for-profit business, I've always worked with entrepreneurs, right? So during COVID, I wrote a few books that would help entrepreneurs start businesses. So business formation, access to credit, access to capital, right? How to get a business loan, intellectual property. That's the work that I did mostly. Copyright, trademark, and patents. How that impacts your business. The physical and mental and spiritual development of the entrepreneur. So that book is called Freedom from Chaos. And then I wrote another book called Real bosses protect and trademark their brand, 7 steps to trademark registration. And that's for influencers, podcasters, individuals who are content creators, MCs, singers, producers. You have to protect your brand. So those books can be found on my website, yourbrotherandre.com, yourbrotherandre.com, and we'll put the link. I'll make sure that you have that. So when this is airing, that it can be right there in the description.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah, so I definitely want to say thank you, Andre, for Brother Andre, for coming on, for sharing your expertise and your story. I want you to have the last word. Leave us with a word of advice for our young fathers,
Mhm,
motivation, however you feel, and also with
mhm,
your social media handles and things of that nature where we know where to find you.
mhm,
I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that. To
mhm.
my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure you guys are checking us out on our website, the dealhealfulfill.org. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org. Also, make sure you guys check out my new website, which is my speaker's website at ernestjamesspeakslife.com. That website, you can book me to come out to be a speaker or workshop facilitator for your school or organization. So make sure you guys go there, check that out at ernestjamesspeakslife.com, as well as the dealhealfulfill.org, which we're going to be doing a major overhaul for that website soon. So I'm very excited about that. So make sure you guys check us out there. Also, ebooksbyEjames.com is where my ebooks are housed. We talked about, helping out young men. I have an ebook called From Males to Men that I talk about helping young men from teenagers kind of making that transition into manhood, as well as the Core 4 ebook, which is the Core 4 values that every daughter should get from her father. That ebook we talk a lot about on the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. But you can find those two ebooks and others at ebooksbyejames.com. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com. So you want to go there and check those out. Also, our inspirational t-shirt line at deal2healtees.com. That's deal, the number two, healtees.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. So make sure you guys go to Deal to Heal Tees in order to find out, to check out our inspirational t-shirt line and our official Deal to Heal shirt, which like the one that I'm wearing, which you can't really see, but but you get your official Deal to Heal deal, our mission shirt, which is deal with your problems, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose shirts, as well as our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as well as one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. And last but not least, over the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month talking about everything surrounding forgiveness, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, forgiveness in the world, just everything surrounding forgiveness, because I believe that forgiveness is one of the main things that will help us in our world today to be able to connect with one another and, gel with one another better, just to make our world a better place. And also with us personally, as we begin to learn to forgive and move forward in our lives, those steps that we learn just make such a difference within ourselves. So make sure you guys go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next free virtual workshop. Whenever you're listening to this podcast, either one just ended or there's one coming up. So make sure you guys again go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next free virtual workshop on forgiveness. That being said, again, Brother Andre, I want to thank you so very much for coming on, for sharing your expertise. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is
Mhm.
yours.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, first of all, to be on your podcast. I think it's a wonderful platform. And I just made another ally, a partner
Yes,
in
sir.
this thing to help teen and young fathers. To teen and young fathers, if you listen or you know a teen and young father, let them know that developing a relationship, a spiritual relationship with God will help you get through, no matter what you call him, God or Allah, Jah, whatever you call him, it'll help you get through the hard times. And it's doable, and this too will pass. This too will pass. Don't think that it's always going to be chaos and unstabilized life. We can help you at newyoungfathers.com. Our website is wearenewyoungfathers.com. Wearenewyoungfathers.com. And if you're if you're an entrepreneur or content creator or influencer, and you want to learn a little bit more about access to capital, credit, how to form a business, intellectual property, go to yourbrotherandre.com, and you can find those 2 books that I spoke of earlier. Thank you again, sir.
No problem. No problem. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, and I know you enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast, I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.